So we've got something kind of interesting today. This is the Colt Canada IUR. Now, if you follow my stuff online, you may notice that I don't do a whole lot with the AR-15 platform. I like them, I own them, but part of the issue is there's lots of other people who have been shooting them for longer than I've been alive. There's lots of good content out there on the AR-15. But I think the IUR does present something that's a little bit interesting and not often seen, and that you definitely won't find in the United States. IUR stands for Integrated Upper Receiver, which almost everybody else in the world calls a monolithic receiver. So the idea is we have a single top rail and that our optics can mount anywhere along it without having any impact on zero. In this case, the IUR upper receiver also has a quad rail up front and then QD sling mounts on either side. So if you're not familiar with Colt Canada, they are a subdivision of Colt. They were formerly known as Diemaco, and they are the supplier for all the light arms used by the Canadian forces. So the C7, C8, C9 all come from them. They also have a variety of contracts to other NATO armies providing 5.56 rifles. So you'll find some groups of soldiers in Norway and Denmark and the United Kingdom are all carrying Colt Canada firearms. These are normally sold as complete rifles or as an armory level upgrade for an organization. But a limited number of these were made available to civilian buyers in Canada early 2015, February, I believe. Those were overrun from a military contract and were sold at about $1,100 a pop. Much later, we saw a limited run of blemished IURs made available at $550, which is a fantastic deal. The blemished units had been shipped back and forth across the Atlantic, but I didn't notice any issues with mine. So there are a few clues on here that give us an idea on where these rifles might have come from. The general consensus on the internet is that these are overruns from the Danish military contract. And part of the reason for that is the recoil launcher lug on the bottom there, that's for a 40mm grenade launcher, and then the reduced size of the 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock rails. That initial run of rifles was supposed to be extremely limited, and now that we're finding out that there's more and more of these available, I think that there's a little bit of resentment from people who bought early on. These shipped without any bolt carrier group or charging handle, so I put an AC bolt carrier group in mine and a TAC Ops charging handle, and then slapped it on the old NEA lower to make for an all Canada-ish kind of rifle. This is a 15.7 inch barrel, and this is using the Colt Canada C9 style flash hider on it. One of the main reasons to go to a monolithic upper is it means we can mount things on our handguards and have them hold zero, so night vision, lasers, that sort of thing. The other thing is it means that this barrel is now free floated, so hopefully that gives us a much more accurate overall rifle. With 62 grain green tips, I'm generally shooting just under 2 MOA with this gun. But keep in mind that this is not a factory Colt Canada rifle. This is a spare IUR that's been slapped together with a bunch of other components. This is still a direct impingement system. There's no piston here, but we do have a straight gas tube underneath the handguard. The barrel in here is mounted using a Colt Canada proprietary system, so if you have their tools, apparently it's a quick change, but otherwise you're looking at a lot of work to swap the barrel out here. Colt Canada is working on an update to the IUR. They're calling it the MRR, the Modular Railed Rifle. And the idea is that they're replacing the 3, 6, and 9 o'clock Picatinny rails with just standard M-LOK, which is actually a fairly big step. It's unusual to see a military manufacturer jump on board with M-LOK or KeyMod or the newest fad when it comes to accessories. But the MRR does seem to offer a lot of weight saving, and Colt Canada seems to be subtly moving closer towards a civilian sales orientation. As Canadians, I think there is a little bit of fun mythos of being able to own Colt Canada products. They're something that have not been available in the past and are slowly becoming more and more available. I think the IUR is a nice blend as far as it's also a really good deal on a monolithic upper receiver and cold hammer forged barrel. It's nice to have a well-made piece of Canadian equipment, and I'm looking forward to shooting this rifle a lot more.